Greetings, precious friends, brothers, sisters, devotees of the divine. In the world, I am known as Dr. Dennis L. Hunter. In esoteric communities and among my most intimate friends, I'm often known as Adesh Wodan. This is to be part one of an elucidation of the secret of mastering Kundalini Yoga. The secret of mastery of Kundalini Yoga. To begin with, some definitions might be in order. Yoga has often been described or defined as union. Yoga meaning union. Which to me begs the question, the union of what or whom? The union of one's spiritual, energetic self with the mental, emotional, and physical aspects to be all you can be. And whether you consider yourself to be a devoutly spiritual person, or you kind of go along the lines of energy, energies in the universe, energies among people, that is the purpose, is the union. I prefer to call it an alignment. It works better for me. Kundalini. Kundalini Yoga. What is Kundalini? Kundalini is the life force of all creation. It exists in everything and everybody. It exists in each rock, in each tree, in each blade of grass, in the flowers. It exists in the animals. And it exists in human beings and all the planets and the stars and everything that exists. So that's what we mean by Kundalini Yoga. We're talking about life force and aligning with it. Kundalini Yoga has been called the yoga of awareness. I believe truly that is a good definition of it. And yet, in addition to that, I consider it to be Kundalini Yoga is the yoga of everything, where it contains all yogas, all aspects. I first began my path in becoming a practitioner of Kundalini Yoga, intermittently as it is sometimes, over 44 years ago. I learned Kundalini Yoga from teachers, from 2 different teachers. A total of 3 sources did I gain my information. And of course, my own experience and my own realizations form the basis of what I'm going to share with you. This is going to be information that you will never have heard anywhere else. I am confident of that. You have never seen information presented in quite this way through any other teacher or location. Now, it's true, I haven't seen all the teachers and studied all the places, but never have I seen Kundalini Yoga presented the way I'm about to present it. Kundalini Yoga, the practice thereof, entails approximately seven methods or bundles of practices or things that you do. And these 7 particular aspects, or these facets of Kundalini Yoga, I start first with breath. For God breathed the breath of life into a human, and humankind became a living soul. Everything breathes. Breath, pranayama. There's often described as there's 3 primary breaths in Kundalini Yoga. I say there's 4, but there is just a deep, victorious breath, or a full, complete breath. There is that which is a billows breath, which is like using the diaphragm, like a big billows, like you might use on a forge. And it's more like a... And then there's the breath of fire, the Kapalabhati, which is a panting breath, which is more like Those three primary breaths, along with a breath which is no breath at all, constitute the basis. But one also breathes through the nose, out through the mouth, in through the nose, out through the nose. There's many different ways of breathing. There's breathing through one nostril and the other, and in through out. There's analoma, vilomas, and pratalomas, and all kinds of ways of breathing. There's breathing with your tongue in certain positions, and there's a multitude of different ways that you can breathe in the practice of Kundalini Yoga. The second aspect of Kundalini Yoga I call visualization or gazing. Tatram or tratak is gazing, visualization, looking, seeing, using the eyes. Whether you are having your eyes mostly closed and visualizing the point or tip of your nose, or whether you're simply concentrating on your third eye or perhaps above your head, whether you're watching a beautiful sunset or whether you are gazing upon the picture of a teacher, or whether you are going through a visualization with your eyes closed with someone giving you an experience to go to a place and have certain experiences in your mind's eye. All of that is the second aspect of what I call visualization or focus. There's many different ways, dozens of ways that can be done. The third aspect of Kundalini Yoga I call sound, whether it's sound within or sound without. Mantra. There's singing. There's chanting. There's using gongs. There's even the playing of music. And all of this is a part of Kundalini Yoga. When one is doing mantras, special mantras which have special qualities and they do certain tones inside your body, they can have certain impacts upon your nervous system. Within the gums around the teeth are supposedly 86 points which, as you speak, as you do mantra, that your tongue will touch upon. And these in turn can stimulate nerves and go into your brain and throughout your body, which done in a proper way, in a proper sequence, can cause various reactions or experiences. The fourth in my list is gestures or mudras. Most of us know about mudras. We picture the yogis sitting like this with that. You often see in paintings and other places where saints will offer a blessing using something perhaps like this. And there's what you might call the prayer mudra, where you bring your hands together in the center of your chest. There are many, many prayer mudras. It's based partially on the concept that at the tips of each finger again having receptors, having tendencies or qualities that can be exhibited. Each finger, whether it be the way the intellect, or perhaps through patience, or power, or energy, or creativity, or love, or being able to communicate. These gestures are all used in different ways. So in addition to the gestures or the mudras, move next into the asanas. We're all familiar with the yogi sitting in a cross-legged position, sitting correctly in order to perhaps meditate or contemplate. There are supposedly 26 basic postures, and the rest are simply modifications of those. Some say no, there's much more than that. There's actually 46, depending on which school you're in. So whether you have your arms up, or whether you're bending or stretching or doing dog pose or simply laying on your back, these are positions, or asanas is another whole aspect or realm of doing Kundalini Yoga. And next is a very interesting part. It's called bandhas or locks. Now there are primarily 3 locks where you flex or pull up the anus, the sexual organs, the perineum. You pull it up and flex it, which is supposed to, with certain kinds of breathing, have certain types of stimulations you might have. There's the bringing the solar plexus, Uddiyana Bandha. You pull your solar plexus back towards the spine and up to form a lock, to put pressure there, tension. And then there's the neck lock, or Jalandhara Bandha, where you bring your chin down. Now, I'm not expecting you to know or remember all this. I'm trying to make it clear the foundation of all these different aspects of things that people do and put together that's called Kundalini Yoga. The next thing I'd like to refer to is Chalan, or motion, or movement. Most yogas don't have a lot of movement, but Kundalini Yoga can tend to have a lot of movement. It is the rhythm by which you do things. It's the rhythm and the cadence by which things are done. When you put together all of these things, you can look at Kundalini Yoga as being a system of which there are bundles of methods, then there are precise techniques. When one decides to become a practitioner, or even to just investigate Kundalini Yoga, it should be made abundantly clear, at least in my mind, Kundalini Yoga is not about becoming a contortionist. It's not about becoming a swimsuit model. The whole purpose and function of yoga, Kundalini Yoga, the mother of all yogas, is that alignment that we spoke of earlier. Now, when you look at all the various things that can be done through the breath, the breathing, the pranayama, the retention of the breath, the breathing through different nostrils and different ways, through the mouth, through the nose. When you look at the visualization or the focus, the gazing, whether you're gazing at your candle or whatever, then you go on, you can look at, of course, next is sound. Sound, so important. Sound, has been said that the whole world is made of sound. The universe is nothing but one big, huge, reverberating sound of various frequencies and interactions. And then we have our mudras. And we have our positions, our asanas, and the bandhas, the locks, where we pull up the energy and hold the energy and constrain. And then we have going on motion, movement, Chalan. Chalan, as my understanding, means palm trees. And palm trees, they blow and move in the wind. And so that's cadence, that rhythm, that aspect. So all 7 of these, I've repeated them twice. The purpose is to be aware that there are 7 primary aspects that are bundles of specific things that can be done when you perform Kundalini Yoga. And there are literally tens of thousands of combinations of these that you can pull from to put together. And when you put them together, you come up with a set of exercises or practices. Now, how in the world do you decide how to do that? You can look at this as much as a language. This is a language of Kundalini Yoga, is metaphorically all these things that I have touched upon, these basic areas, these basic aspects. They are like a language. And they can go and you can pull up different words or letters and put them all together. And if you arrange them properly, you can come up with words, you can come up with meanings, you can come up with stories. So it's very much like an alphabet. Another way of looking at it is it's kind of like a recipe. It's kind of like pulling together all of the different foods and spices and varieties of things and blending them in a certain way to make a very special dish. It's like music. You pull together all the notes and put together chords, and you put them together in such a way, and you create these beautiful sounds, this beautiful music, which is so pleasing and invigorating or relaxing to people. This is the foundation I'm trying to provide, I'm offering at this point, so that you can understand the perspective of mastering Kundalini Yoga and of knowing what that secret is. Now, you can't just grab all this and put it together. If you might grab a lot of things, there's some mushrooms right over there. It's been raining a lot this year, and there's all kinds of things. There's flowers, there's medicinal things that can be used here. So you don't just throw anything together. You need, at the beginning at least, you need to learn. A chef needs to learn the different kinds of foods and what goes together, the different kinds of roux and sauces. Needs to learn all the spices and what goes together and what they taste like and what they feel like. When you talk to an author needs to know how to read and write, needs to know words, needs to know letters. This is the same way that Kundalini is put together. All these exercises, all these techniques that we can delve deeply into, of which I haven't even hardly touched upon, just to let you know that there are 7 bundles or methods that come together. So, no one consciously, in my not so humble opinion, can know all the possibilities of all the combinations, of all the things that can be done, all the different orders to put together a series of exercises. When you put them together, though, they're often called kriyas. So just as if you wish to become a writer, you'll learn your craft. If you want to become a poet and put together language, you need to know what the words mean. You need to know the grammar and the context. If you're going to cook something, if you're going to put together a recipe, and not everything that puts together is right. If I wanted to put together draw a bunch of letters and put together some funny words, they might turn out to be nonsense syllables, and I might sound like, and I don't mean speaking in tongues, and I don't mean speaking in foreign language. I mean, they're just nonsense syllables. So there are things that put together in certain ways have profound influence and meaning, are very useful, and there's much of it that is just not useful, is garbage. Perhaps not garbage, but perhaps is the garbage that gets composted to form even better things. Who are we to know in the long run? So as I go through this process with you, you need a teacher. You need someone. A chef will go to a school. A chef will learn how to cook, learn all the recipes, or many recipes, learn how to put things together. They need to become good at that. And if you are going to put together poetry, beautiful prayers, Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed is thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. If you want to create yourself a nice poem, a prayer, you got to learn the language first. So when you begin Kundalini Yoga, you have to have a foundation, and so you do certain exercises. Now, there's certain groups that'll have a number of exercises, and that's all that they do. Some say that to get to enlightenment, and I won't speak much of enlightenment here, we can talk about that in other videos perhaps, but I presume that anyone listening to this is interested in yoga as a vehicle to spiritual awareness and to having some God-conscious awareness, and that we don't need to convince you of that. We're already starting at step 2 when you look for a path. So It's been said there's 108 ways or kriyas or groups of exercises that can lead to enlightenment. Some say no, there's 112, and some say no, it's actually 114, and some say no, it's 144. But pulling from these, we have recipes, we have scripture, if you will. Scripture in motion. If you can picture doing a kriya, a series of exercises and breathings and movements and chantings, it's coming together to make a whole three-dimensional, four-dimensional scripture of beauty, of wonder. So what we are looking to do here is to first learn your craft. You must learn what it's like to do Kapalabhati correctly. You don't need to do it and simply make yourself hyperventilate. Hyperventilation is not the goal of the Shining Skull Kriya. It is the balancing of that breath. And it's good to have someone that can help you with that. So you need to go to school, find yourself a teacher, and you need to have a practice and just do it. Just do the exercises. You need to have the experience and the feeling and the understanding of what the exercises are and how to do them. And then as you graduate, you may find you have more experience and knowledge and understanding of the effects that they have on your body. So it's not an intellectual concept, but it's a knowing, it's a connection within your body that you will have experiences that will bring you peace, that will bring you to a healthier state, that will bring you to a place where you can simply say, I am complete. Now, there are so many schools of yoga because you can't pull these together. There's yoga, which is hatha yoga, which some say hatha yoga is just a series of stretching and twisting exercises to get yourself to a point where you're ready for Kundalini yoga. There's yogas where you're just immersed. There's a teacher, looks around and sees what the people need, understands the mechanics, the science, if you will, of yoga, and prescribes them at that particular time and place. There's yogas which provide more of a philosophy, and they go step by step. Step 1, step 2, step 3, and kind of like the levels of martial arts, they move up and you become more proficient. So, which school to pick? Probably pick one and just go for it for a while, one that you're attracted to. But none of that will ever be a mastery of Kundalini Yoga, because if you know all the best recipes that a chef has to offer, if you studied all the literature, if you studied all the scriptures, and you can put together and you know what others have done and found, you are a practitioner, perhaps, doing your yoga, doing what you do. But you are always doing it under the guise of what was good for someone else, for that time, for that place. And I am proposing that there is more to Kundalini Yoga than simply becoming an instructor, simply learning a group of exercises, simply learning a group of techniques. That there is more to it than that, and that you will never be a master chef. You will never write scripture. You will never create music until you understand and experience. So, this is concluding part 1 of the mastery of Kundalini Yoga. This is the foundation to understand all the different things that can be done and put together. And just because you learn one sliver doesn't mean you're a master. It simply means you know how to cook fried chicken, or you know how to make gazpacho salad. But it doesn't make you a master chef. It makes you a cook. It doesn't make you a literary person. It makes you a reader of literature. So I hope it's not too redundant. I made this clear. The next part 2, I will go further and I will reveal the secret to mastery of Kundalini Yoga. I am Adesh, and I am here. Aum Maha Dharma Adnipoche. Blessings to you all. Hope to see you soon.